Hey, Shalom Aleichem. We're back. Chaim Alevsky here on the 21st of Cheshvan. Tonight is my birthday. It's the 22nd of Cheshvan. So I'm giving you a pre-birthday blessing that all your wishes should be fulfilled. Yamalei Hashem kol mishalos libchem letova v'livracha. I'm walking now because my Gimble, my mechanical selfie stick battery just died unexpectedly. So if I run, it'll be very shaky like this. So I'm just going to hold it and I'll do a little walking commentary. But the content is powerful and beautiful. So 2 years ago, on my birthday, I did a walking commentary with Deja Vu with my wife Sarah, in which we spoke about this week's Torah portion, Chayei Sarah. And it was, we told two stories that the Rebbe related about Shabbat candles and their effect that they had on the household. On actually the little girls, there were 5 or 6 year olds who lit the Shabbat candles and transformed their household in beautiful ways. Those two stories that I told earlier are linked in the description of this talk, of this video here, so please see them. I'm going to share a third story that I heard, a shorter one, from the Rebbe about this also. In this week's Torah portion, it talks about Chayei Sarah. It talks about how Sarah, Avram's wife, passed away, and Rivka married Yitzchak. And Rivka was, at the time, the Midrash says that Rivka was 3 years old when she met and when she started lighting the Shabbat candles. And miracles happened. The Shabbat candles remained lit all week long. Says the Rebbe encouraged, I think it was in the 80s, he very strongly encouraged young Jewish girls to light Shabbat candles. Until recently, it was the custom, most Jewish people, the custom was they light it later on, either at their bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah, the woman, at their bat mitzvah or at their wedding or some other time later on. But the Rebbe encouraged, said that in the Chabad Rebbe's lineage, in their households, the girls would light Shabbat candles from age 3. And he encouraged everyone to do the same. And there was some pushback from the other Jewish communities, that the Rebbe's starting new ideas. And the Rebbe responded in many different ways, but one of the responses was that in generations prior, the world was more illuminated, and in these generations there's more darkness in this world and there's more distractions in our service to God. So we need to add more light to illuminate the world in a better way. Says the Rebbe that girls ages 3 and up should light Shabbat candles, and he related a few stories of how it transformed their homes, 2 of which you have in the link above, and third one that I heard was the Rebbe said it's important also to remember that the effect that the Shabbat candles have on the people themselves when they light the Shabbat candles. And there was this home in which the mother would light the Shabbat candles, and she heard about the Rebbe's call to have the daughters light the Shabbat candles, but her daughter was 9 or 10 year old, and the mother wasn't so interested in having her daughter light the Shabbat candles. It wasn't her custom, etc. And I guess it was a traditional household. And the one Friday evening, the mother lights the Shabbat candles, and the daughter's nowhere to be seen. So she looks she's not with the family, she looks for her daughter, and she's in the room, and she's doing homework. She's sitting with a pen and pencil and a calculator, doing her math. And she asked her, what are you doing? What happened? She said, well, I have some homework to do, and it's due on Monday. I'm waiting, between, now and the Shabbat dinner. I have some time. So she realized that it's a good idea for her daughter to light the Shabbat candles, that she actually feels connected to the Shabbat herself, and she did that, and it helped out. And they lived happily ever after. Okay, so that was that was about the Shabbat candles. Moving on, this week's talk is specifically about Chevron. Chevron. It says that Avraham buried Sarah in a place called Kiryat Arba, which means the area. Kiryat is like an area, a village, a suburb, a county of Arba, of 4. Kiryat Arba. He Chevron, which is Chevron. So why is it called Kiryat Arba, the village of 4, the area of 4? And the commentaries explain because there were 4 people buried there, 4 sets buried there. Adam and Chava, the first humans, were buried in Chevron, in Kiryat Arba, in the same Me'arat HaMachpelah. It was in the cave of the doubles, of the double sets. And who are these sets? Adam and Chava, Adam and Eve, are buried there. Avraham and Sarah, the first Jew and Jewess, Avraham and Sarah are buried there. Yitzchak and Rivka, and Yaakov and Leah. So all these, there are 4 sets of people buried in Chevron, in Ma'arat HaMachpelah. We can go there today if it's safe. I've been there myself a few times. And the Rebbe talks about this and says that the word Chevron actually comes from the word chaver or lechaber or chibur, which means unity, combining something, fusing, a fusion of more than one element. And the Rebbe says that these 4 sets are kind of, they're together, they're Kiryat Arba, they're together in Chevron. Oh, they are 4, but they're Chevron. They become Chevron, they become linked, they become fused. Says the Rebbe that the Zohar talks about this Kiryat Arba hi Chevron and says that there are 4 elements, foundational elements that God used to create this world and create mankind, and specifically man, and they are Eish, Ruach, Mayim, Afar. The fire, wind, water, and earth. And when the Zohar says Kiryat Arba, God took these 4 elements, Arba is 4 in Hebrew, he Chevron, and he bound them together, and through which he made man. So the Rebbe says that the Zohar is telling us when we look at a human being, you don't see 4 separate elements. You don't see the fire, the water, the earth, and the wind and the spirit inside as separatable elements. They're all one, they're fused together, so much so that if, God forbid, you were able to separate one from the other, it wouldn't be life-supporting, life-sustaining. So they have to be fused together for it to be a human being, for it to work, right? So says the Rebbe that this is everything in the Torah and in the Hasidic perspective, is that we learn a lesson in Avodas Hashem. We learn how to apply this in our practical relevance in our personal life. What is this over here? Says the Rebbe, when it comes to Avas Yisrael, to loving a fellow Jew, says the person is charged with a mission to love a fellow Jew, not just like, okay, I know I'm different, but I'm going to tolerate you, or shali shalach v'shal shali shali v'shalach shalach, what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours, what's yours is yours, and I won't interfere with your business. Not just that, he says that won't work in the body structure of the body. If we're built, if our elements were just friends with each other but not inseparable, then we wouldn't be alive. So too when it comes to Avas Yisrael, when it comes to loving our fellow, we need to love our fellow, not just that I won't interfere with your life, but I am part of you. We are one. I am your flesh, you are mine. And the Rebbe says that that is the lesson from the Kiryat Arba hi Chevron, that these 4 elements come together to create man, and so too from our forefathers and ancestors in the cave. And the Rebbe gave an example. He says we're all united as one. Parenthetically, there's this concept, ha'osek b'mitzvah patur min ha'mitzvah. Somebody is occupied with one mitzvah, is exempt from another. And there are various ramifications, halachic ramifications about that. But the Rebbe says, why is that? It's because one mitzvah contains within itself a spark of all the other mitzvot. They're all coming from the same source, and they're all really one thing. And one united mitzvah, but they're separated into different parts. But it's really one element. And so too with the the Jewish people, said the Rebbe, we are all one, and we're separated into different parts. But we have to view ourselves as, I have your spark, you have mine. We're all part of each other. And the Rebbe said that also, if you look at the 4 sets of people who were buried in the Me'aras HaMachpelah, and the Rebbe said the word Me'ara means cave, means one cave. It's a singular cave that contains all these 4 sets of people, but they were also very different in their character traits, in their characteristics. Avraham was known to be the Ish HaChesed. He was the epitome of kindness. And Yitzchak, his son, with the peers, Avram and Sarah, Yitzchak and Rivka, but Yitzchak specifically was known to be the epitome, the exact opposite of Gvura. He represented discipline and strictness, and were distant from people. And Yaakov was the perfect blend. He was Tiferet. And Adam, Harishon, the first man, was considered Keser. He was considered the crown of creation. So the Rebbe says, just these, in the cave itself, you have people who are of varied characteristics, but they come together, of course, over there in their burial. But we should see each other not as, oh, I am me and these are my character traits, and I need to demonstrate who I am, but rather blend together with the others when we're dealing with other people, that we blend together so that our elements are not discernible, that we shouldn't detect, I'm different than you, etc. Moving on, the Rebbe says that Chevron is also special in a different way. It's a different idea, but we're just going to, the Rebbe mentioned it in the same talk. And he says that, but it's also related. The Rebbe says that Chevron is the Zohar, the Kabbalah tells us that all the prayers of the world, every prayer has to go through Chevron to get to its intended place, which is the Garden of Eden, which is Gan Eden. So all of our prayers go to Gan Eden. And how do they go to Gan Eden? The opening of Gan Eden, says the Rebbe, the opening of the Garden of Eden, of paradise, in this world, is Chevron. So all our prayers have to go through Chevron. Of course, we face east, from our hemisphere. We face Jerusalem because the prayers also go through Jerusalem. But from there, they have to go to Chevron. That's what the Zohar says. So the Rebbe says that all of our prayers go to Chevron. And also King David, who was the king, and he was king in Jerusalem. Before he was king in Jerusalem, he had to be king in Hebron. He was king in Hebron for 7 years. And the Rebbe says that Jerusalem is the concept of malchus, of kingship, in the sephiros, in the mystical attributes of creation and of God and creation. And so Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, is malchus, and Hebron is keser. So David HaMelech, King David, actually had to go through 7 years of Hebron before he was able to become king in Jerusalem. Says the Rebbe, so too, we all need to Chevron ourselves. We need to be Chevron, and Chevron again represents this unity of various elements, of opposites, of the fire and the water, the complete opposites. So when we see another person and we're completely different from them, we need to unite and bind ourselves in a way that we cannot discern one from the other. So the Rebbe says we need to connect both on a physical level by going to visit the forefathers, if possible, in Me'aras HaMachpelah, in Chevron. So actually go visit there physically. Mystically, we're connected because we're the 4 elements of creation: fire, water, earth, and wind. And virtually, we're all connected because we love each other. And that is, says the Rebbe, the path to our personal redemption as a human being and the global redemption for Mashiach. So we all need to be Chevron. And that's the story for today. God bless you all. Take care. And birthday blessings to you again. I don't know if I'll see you tomorrow, but I will be at the Ohel tonight, God willing, and we'll pray for you all.